I'm Max Brantley with the Arkansas Times. News from Arkansas on Thursday, October the 15th. Yesterday afternoon, Governor Asa Hutchinson with his Surgeon General Gregory Bledsoe said that they wanted to do something about the state of Arkansas's health. This state is the fattest and the most unhealthy in the country in many respects. That's not unusual for a poor state, but nonetheless, it's something that bears doing something about. It costs businesses, it costs people lives, it costs money in any number of ways. He says it won't cost a thing, but he set out an ambitious program that includes making people make better food choices and eat healthier ways and get more activity. Making people change their ways, of course, is a hard thing. One of the most interesting things about the program, I thought, was although it doesn't mandate government action, it talks about government encouragement of a lot of things, limitation on sugary soft drink sizes, for example, and government vending contracts, encouraging certain sorts of healthy choices in lunchrooms, planning and highway decisions that factor in healthy lifestyles. Yes, it'd be great if we lived in dense cities where you walked and biked to work and didn't get on a freeway and drive 30 minutes home. These are the kind of government planning things that sometimes make conservatives squirm, however, so it's going to be interesting to see how the governor moves forward on this, but it's a good idea. You can't argue with better health for the people of Arkansas. News this afternoon is coming from the Capitol on a renegotiation of a lottery vendor contract with the people that sell the scratch-off tickets. It was dropped on legislators by surprise yesterday. It's a deal cooked up by the Hutchinson administration, which has taken control of the lottery, and they're going to pretty well get what they want, whether legislators are happy about the notice of it or not. They'll save some money on a renegotiated contract. This is going to go to pay for another consultant that was hired on the strength of recommendations from some Republican lobbyists that supposedly are going to increase sales for the lottery, and that would produce more money for scholarships and a lot of money for the consultant. No sure thing in the lottery except that the state wins. Beyond that, not so much more. I found out today through a Freedom of Information Act request what I suspected all along. The state of Arkansas did indeed mislead people, and knowingly, last week when it characterized how state students did on the last year's standardized test score, the so-called PARCC test. It set what appeared to be a passing grade that actually was a needs improvement grade. But what I found out in my FOI request today was that Johnny Key, the state education commissioner, learned this from federal education department officials last Friday. They said they were disappointed that Arkansas was going to effectively set a pass rate at 3 when it ought to be 4 on the test. The state eventually changed its mind, but not before first denying to me as late as Tuesday morning that it had done no such thing, that it had not claimed any sort of proficiency for a 3 score, even though in fact the emails I obtained showed exactly that that's what they were talking about. News today from the Arkansas Democrat-Gazette about a man I'd reported about before, former Democratic State Representative Tommy Wren. He's just gotten hired for a nice state job at about $30,000 more than an entry-level job at the Natural Resources Commission normally would pay. Guess he's a really valuable guy. The thing that interests me is he moved from work as a lobbyist. Yes, the legislator was basically working as a lobbyist. They call it consultant for a consulting firm. Also did some lobbying, consulting, or was a liaison, for the governor's office. It was another case that shows how ineffective our so-called ethics amendment is. The governor announced today that he's going to set up a 7-person Medicaid integrity unit, hire 7 new people to look for ways that Medicaid money is being wasted. Baxter, the big pharmaceutical medical supplies giant that's been in Mountain Home for years, says it's going to add 225 jobs over the next 5 years, I think it is. It gets millions of dollars in state help for doing this. John Diamond, who once was the top media spokesman for the University of Arkansas, has published a book about his unhappy experience there. He was fired. He was something of a whistleblower for the effort to cover up a huge budget shortfall in the University Advancement Division's budget. I don't know if this book will be a big seller, but I expect there'll be a few people at Fayetteville that'll try to read it. They'll probably try to read it for free and not put any money in John Diamond's pocket. He's now working for a consulting firm, has his own firm in Maine. And finally, I think we need to have a daily feature on what MIke Huckabee said crazy today. Yesterday he made a crack about Asians. He talked about building 2 border fences instead of 1. Today he was quoted as agreeing, perhaps mindlessly and without paying any attention, to an Iowa radio host who said basically we ought to institute slavery as a punishment for people who commit petty crimes such as theft. Let's make them work for free to pay off their debt to society. And Huckabee said, yeah, sure thing. I think his candidacy is so desperate he'll agree with just about any crackpot that comes along. But we're going to be keeping watch and having some fun with it. I'm Max Brantley. I'll be back tomorrow.
You feel it in your heart. The spirit of Little Rock. We've had that spirit since 1927, helping build our city by producing decades of leaders in the heart of our state. We are the heart of business and innovation, the heart of politics and government, the heart of arts and culture, and in our city beats the heart of a Trojan. UALR, we are Little Rock's team and Little Rock's University.